Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to talk about the Tennessee Three. Three Democratic legislators in Tennessee who were faced with expulsion, two of which were, and one who wasn't, and for obvious reason, which we will explain going forward. You may have been able to tell by the thumbnail that you see on the video. But let's get down to it. Now, in the wake of the tragic shooting that took place in Nashville, Tennessee, that took the lives of six people, including three 9-year-old children. Students fed up with absolutely nothing being done to stop school violence in this country, to stop the mass shootings in our schools, of our children being shot to death, simply for going to learn 2 plus 2. They showed up in mass at the Tennessee State House and protested while they were at or inside the legislature. It looked like at least hundreds of people, if not maybe 1,000 people or more, were there, mostly teenagers, saying that they're tired of it, that it's time for the state of Tennessee to do something. These three Democratic lawmakers joined in with the protest, demanding that the legislature do something. And for that, they're being faced with expulsion. Two of them were expelled. Justin Jones and Justin Pearson were kicked out of the legislature. A third member, Representative Gloria Johnson, ended up surviving the vote to where she was able to keep her job. I wonder why. I think it's pretty obvious. The two gentlemen who were expelled from the state house and from their job as a state representative were black. Gloria Johnson, as she put it, is a 60-year-old white woman. When asked yesterday why she thought she survived the vote and why she wasn't kicked out of her spot and expelled for the state legislature, she said, "Isn't it obvious?" Like she said, she's a 60-year-old white woman. They weren't going to expel her. It's always going to be the young black men who are fighting for their constituents, who voted for these people to be in. This is completely anti-democratic. And I don't mean that in a political sense. Let's make sure of that. I don't mean that in a left or right sense. Because there's some people that don't seem to understand what the word democratic means. This is what fascists do. Kick out people they don't agree with. That's what fascists do. That's not what Americans do. That's not what we do as a people. We don't kick out people from Congress and stuff just because we don't like them. We had plenty of reason to remove Marjorie Taylor Greene from the U.S. House. But we didn't, because we didn't want it to seem political. Even though I believe she has committed criminal acts of her own. But we as Americans, we believe that people are beholden to their constituents. If their constituents still vote them in, then that's that, right? If after all their lies and stuff come to light, their constituents still want them to be their representative, then that's how that works, right? That's usually how it works. That's usually how America works. But unfortunately, we're getting to a point now where America's march towards fascism isn't just a creep anymore. It's an outright run. It's a complete sprint to who can be the most fascist of the states. And unfortunately, that is just fact. We are not slowing the roll towards fascism. And people like myself and others are going to be put in the crosshairs. These two gentlemen were standing up for children, protecting children, standing up for doing something to keep people from shooting up kids. One of the Republicans in their state legislature, I saw a video of him speaking yesterday before the expulsion, claiming that the state legislature of Tennessee has done a lot of hard work to protecting the children of Tennessee. From what? What? What have you done to defend children in Tennessee? Banned a drag show? Banned care for transgender kids who increases their chance for suicide? Passed no laws that prevented that crazy nut from going into that school and shooting up six people? Nothing. The state legislature of Tennessee has done absolutely shit all when it comes to helping the children of Tennessee, and now they want to sit there and say they've done lots of hard work protecting children, while they're sitting there kicking people out in a completely undemocratic way, just because they have a supermajority and they had an excuse to get rid of Democrats. Like one of the guys that was expelled was saying, they don't have democracy in Tennessee. I thought Texas and Florida were bad, but Tennessee seems to be more of a fascist state than any of the others. They're just a little behind. They're running a little behind on their let's attack the LGBTQ community. They're a little behind on attacking, minorities. At least recently. As was mentioned, Tennessee is the home and the founding state of the KKK. And they seem to be back for their power. They want their power back. We as Americans have to stand to say no. We cannot stand idly by while these people continue to push their fascist agenda. While they go and try and give white nationalists and other Nazi groups cover. We have to say no to the sprint to fascism. And I'm not kidding here, because this isn't going to stop at Tennessee. Now that Tennessee's gone off and expelled these two black individuals from their state house, the other red states are going to start trying it too. Just watch. This is absolutely un-American. I stand with the Tennessee Three, and I stand for democracy and justice. And them trying to act like they've done something. That Republican that was saying that they've done a lot of hard work over the last decade to protect children in Tennessee. Bullshit. But then he went on to say, to tell a Democrat at that, a new Democrat in the chamber, just pass a bill. If it's so important, pass a bill. He told a liberal in a chamber with a supermajority of Republicans to just pass a bill to stop the problems. Do you see a problem with that? Do you see how that's not possible? Do you think the Republican supermajority in Tennessee is ever going to do anything that would even mildly touch gun rights. And no one I could find in Tennessee is talking about banning all guns. You know? Not even David Hodge, who survived Parkland, is saying ban all guns. They're just saying, make it harder for people who are mentally, violently mentally deranged to get firearms. Nobody does any of this kind of stuff without some kind of red flag somewhere that somebody could have seen. You can't tell me this person's counselor didn't know they were a threat to themselves and others. You can't tell me their parents didn't know they were a threat to themselves and others. But also was told recently that the parents of the shooter in Tennessee last week knew that their child was in a bad spot, knew they didn't need to have firearms. Even though they didn't think they had any left, they wish they'd been able to call the police and say, "Hey, I think my child is trying to hurt other people or going to hurt themselves." But they have no red flag laws in this country. We have none, especially in Tennessee. So this person was allowed to collect guns, do whatever they wanted, and nobody did shit about it because they couldn't. Not only do I think the shooter's parents were terrible people to begin with by rejecting their child, because I guarantee you that's part of what led to what happened. But two, when they knew their daughter's son, however they wanted to view them, was in dire straits, they wanted to do something. They wanted to help. They wanted to keep them from doing something wrong. They wanted to help them not have a weapon to hurt themselves or others. But they didn't have an option to stop it. Because you people out there that are so hyped up on your guns, so full of your homosexual freaking theology, that you're so worried about losing your guns that you're not worried about protecting children. And then these people stand up for it and they get expelled from their jobs for it. This is the most anti-democratic thing I have seen in my life. It's absolutely repulsive. This is totally un-American. Anyways, this has been the Big Ranch Show. I'll see you. Good luck.